Happy New Year again. You know, the flu virus is an epidemic for over 40 states. Hospitals are overflowing, 18 children have died, plus some adults. My topic tonight is what everyone should know about the flu vaccine, the flu, whooping cough, and obesity. My guest is always welcome here because he comes with such remarkable information. He is Dr. Robert Travnicek, District 9 Health Officer, Mississippi State Department of Health. Welcome back to the Addiebrent Show.
Well, I feel welcome.
Thank you, and we're always so glad to have you. You give us such joy when you.
It's a blast.
Thank you so much. But we're going to talk about the flu, and we know it's really a bad thing at now. It's an epidemic. But Dr. Travnicek, information I'm hearing how now the flu is an epidemic. This is a serious year for the flu. First, tell me, what is the flu? Tell us what the flu.
Well, it's a virus. It's an influenza virus, member of the influenza family. And most of these influenzas that go around the world, we call them pandemics. They're all over the world. You know, like an epidemic, that could be anywhere. It could be in Mississippi. It could be in Fort Lauderdale. It could be anywhere. But a pandemic is around the world, and this is going to be a pandemic.
Wow.
So we've had several. In 1918, that's the one that killed, 50 million people. They say killed 50 million people worldwide. Then we had another really bad one. We were okay until 1957. We had a really bad one in 57. We had another really bad one in 1968. And then this appears to be this is the next big one.
Wow.
And so we're in it. It's way too late to do much of anything except get your shot, get your influenza shot.
And it's not too late to get your influenza shot.
Yeah, that's right. And if you've been exposed, they say you can still do it, but really it takes 2 weeks for that shot to work. So if you haven't been exposed, that's really when to go. And there's plenty of influenza vaccine at the health department. Sometimes we've had shortages, we have, to be honest with you, but right now we have plenty. And so you're lucky, and I would encourage everybody in the sound of my voice to go down the health department or the doctor or Walmart or Costco
CVS,
or Costco here,
right.
CVS.
Walgreens.
Walgreens, get your flu shot.
Yeah. Now here, infants cannot be vaccinated. What advice do you have for parents concerning that?
Well, keep the kid at home and get immunized yourself and limit the contacts, because this thing will not go on forever. Now, in 1918, this pandemic went around the world three times. In other words, over 3 years. And in these epidemics, you don't know whether we're done with it or whether we're just starting. We started reporting cases of this flu in November. We were the first state in the country to have this epidemic. And I noticed in the Boston newspaper this morning, they were talking about the influenza-like illness rates in Boston as being 5.8. That's the highest it had been in decades. Well, in Mississippi, last time we reported, it was 13.5. So we've got twice to 3 times as much influenza as they have. But what makes them unique is that they're all packed together. So these people are all going to the same hospitals, they're all bringing the same health systems down, because the health system is not built for this. They're not. And what happens is when you sort of smother the system or stress it out, then some of the truly sick ones do not get seen. And they were talking about 18 babies are dead. Well, why are 18 babies dead? Well, probably people just didn't realize, yeah, they had the flu, yeah, he's got a high fever, yeah, he's had it before, but this is different. Or they picked up the phone, called the emergency room, and there are already 1,500 people in the emergency room. Right. See, that's what happens in an epidemic. Some people just get left by the wayside.
And the most amazing thing, a child cannot tell you what hurts or what's
but the fever,
if there's a fever.
Every mother knows when their baby's sick.
Okay.
And every mother knows when their baby's really sick. Because that mother inside her has got certain instincts.
Instincts, right.
And so she'll know that baby's sick. And the real question is, convincing somebody else that baby is sick. But the truth of the matter is there is no real treatment for influenza. That if you missed your shot,
okay,
you didn't do what you were told to do for the last 10 or 20 years, and you get the influenza, you just have to hope and pray.
It's hope and pray, and
That's
it's oh man, and it's not a good feeling. I promise
Well, hoping.
you.
Well, sometimes praying,
Yeah.
it makes you feel better. But I
Right.
mean, you feel like you've done all you could, and you have done all you could.
Yeah, right. So now, suppose a kid in a daycare center is sick. What should happen in a case like that?
Okay. Well,
Kid in
first of
daycare.
all, a couple of things. I want to talk a little bit about immunizations because we can't immunize little babies, but from 6 months on to basically to your dad, you can get your influenza shots,
Right.
and from 6 months to about 9 years or so, you have to get a series of 2.
Oh,
Okay, so but your pediatrician, health department, coastal family, whatever, they'll all know that. They know exactly what to do. Bring them a 6-month-old baby; they'll take care of you.
okay.
And because they know that's your only hope to really save that baby from the epidemic if there is any.
Right.
So then once that happens, let's say you got the shot, you didn't get the shot, you notice the baby is terribly ill, or let's say your 3rd grader is terribly ill. If your 3rd grader is terribly ill, you can't send that kid to school because he'll make everybody else terribly ill.
Stay home.
And it wouldn't be too bad, except what happens if you're in the 7th grade, 6th or 7th grade, and you're terribly ill, and you go to school and you infect everybody else.
Wow.
Okay, what'll happen? I mean, I'm telling you, you think your reputation was bad before.
Okay.
You never will get out of that.
Right. Absolutely.
And let's say they said, "Oh, I'm a loyal employee. I'm going to work sick." Well, first of all, this influenza is not like this. You'll get sick in about 30 seconds. You'll feel so bad, you think you're going to die. Then you're going to lay down. If you're going to fall down, you're going to lay down. And you're going to lay there for about 2 or 3 or 4 days, and you're going to have shaking chills. Everything's going to hurt. Your chest is going to feel it. Your eyeballs come blow out of your head. You're going to feel like you're smothering to death. I mean, you're not
Can't
going
breathe
to.
sometimes.
You can't breathe,
Yeah.
and you can't even roll over. I mean, some of these people are so sick they can't roll over. That's so. In general, you're not going to go to work because it said, "Oh well, I can work sick." This is a fatal illness. So potentially fatal illness, and you will feel. I've had influenza twice myself.
Okay.
Once as a teenager in this big epidemic in '57.
Okay.
And I was alone. My parents were somewhere else. I was in a boarding school, and I thought for 4 or 5 days I was going to die. It's the sickest I realized, even though I was only 15 years old,
Yeah.
that was as sick as I was ever going to be. And then if I got even just a little bit sicker, I'd be dead.
You'd be dead. Yeah.
And-
I heard a man say on TV this morning, say he felt like a Mack truck had hit him.
Well, I
Yeah,
think that's
just that
being
bad.
generous.
Yeah.
Because when the Mack truck hits you,
Yeah.
then the Mack truck leaves you.
Right.
But when the influenza hits you,
Yeah.
I mean, you are surrounded in this fog of these, and it's almost like a demonic possession. It feels like you're being consumed by something.
Okay.
And you just, no matter how you turn, you get restless. It's happened to me.
Right.
And you can't breathe and all kinds of stuff. It is worse than, it's the worst, in my opinion. I practiced medicine for a long time. In my opinion, it's the worst illness you'll have before you die.
So you're saying everyone from 6 years old up until whatever should get the flu
6
shot.
months.
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months on up. And
To
then
have
just-
the flu shot.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And so,
Was there anyone that should not be vaccinated?
well, if there are certain precautions. People are allergic to eggs, but certain
Oh, I
kinds.
see.
There's
Okay, I
almost
gotcha.
no eggs in there.
Okay.
But truthfully, your provider will go through a list of contraindications. But let him tell you can't get the flu shot. Don't tell yourself you
Okay.
can't.
Yeah, a
Does
lot
that
of
make
people-
sense?
Yes, it does.
So why would you have a provider tell you what to do, then do something you were on your what
And people, we do that.
You do?
Yeah, a lot of people will say, well, the doctor said so, I don't think I do this, that,
Yeah,
that. But
well,
that's not fair, that's not
If
right.
they ever get this,
Yeah.
they will become a converter. This is the biggest one we've had in 30 or 40 years, that's for sure.
Okay, and they're also saying to keep from spreading the virus, make sure you wash your hands. You can't,
Yep.
you can't say that enough. Wash your hands.
Oddly enough, sneezing and stuff is not so much a person to person. They sneeze on surfaces.
Okay.
And this virus lives on the surfaces, and people come to put their hands on the surface, and then it's in the mouth, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really a hand contact disease. If you can eliminate virus from surfaces, the epidemic will disappear.
And I understand too, the virus can live on the surface for hours.
That's right.
You know, so if you sneeze here or in this room, it could be anywhere around here.
Right.
And you touch it.
Matt, we just talked to a guy here recently who said that he never went anywhere. You know, in which case, he didn't get a shot or one thing or another.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth of the matter, other people go there and they would bring him the virus.
Absolutely.
There's no question about it.
Now you were talking a little while ago about needle phobia.
The problem with it is that some people are afraid of spiders.
Yeah.
And some people are afraid of snakes.
Okay.
And some people are afraid of mice. Mm-hmm. And if I were to turn a snake loose in this room, you might crawl up the top of the table. Or,
I would.
Yeah, and you'd get short of breath. But some people are afraid of needles.
Okay.
That's a fairly common phobia. And, 10 or so odd percent will, no matter what, they will do anything to avoid. They'll make any excuse in the world to avoid getting a shot because they have this fear of needles. They won't tell you that, but they'll say, "Oh, I never get the shot." But the truth of the matter is, because it doesn't make sense not to get the shot. It doesn't make sense on any level. So then there must be something else going on. So I would say, if you ever get influenza, you for sure will wish that you had gotten
the shot.
Yeah, and you will never ever forget that.
Yeah, right. And of course, in certain age, older people, we still should be concerned about the pneumonia shot, or should we not?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And again, your provider will tell you whether you're eligible. These things change quite a lot.
Okay.
But in general, you're generally okay if you've had one or two before you're 65. Usually at that point, you're good for the rest of your life. But come to the health department, go to Coastal, go to your local physician, or Walgreens. I think Walgreens and I think all the drugstores give pneumonia shots.
They do.
And so they'll tell you whether or not you're eligible.
What's the difference between the cold and the flu?
Everything, but they're about everything in terms of severity. They're both viruses.
Okay.
Flu is a coronavirus, completely different family of viruses, and influenza is an influenza virus. But what happens is they're not human viruses.
Okay.
They're actually, this particular one is a pig virus.
Oh.
It's an H3N2 pig virus with a new variant, with kind of a different spin. So what happens is that the pigs come in contact with people, and the pigs are sick all the time. So they come in contact with people, and these viruses, they change form, and they form to infect people. And that's why once the epidemic is over, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 2 years, once it's over, with that virus, it's over.
So kind of give us some information about treatment once you get the flu.
Okay, well, what I recommend is, again, now this is not in medical books.
Okay.
Okay. I recommend homemade chicken noodle soup.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But you can't go in the store and buy it. You got to go down. You got to get your chicken. You got to get your good vegetables, and you got to simmer that really good for a few hours. Get that good broth off of there. That's good. Tons of aspirin if you're eligible for that.
Okay.
As you know, anything under the age of about 17 or so, they need to take non-aspirin because there's association with a certain syndrome called Reye syndrome. But the thing is that you're going to have fluids, and you're going to have
lots of fluids.
Lots of fluids, and you're going to have lots of aspirin because you're going to be hurting.
Okay.
And antibiotics are not helpful.
No.
And because there's no treatment. Oh. Now, if you suddenly something changes, and you suddenly get a rattle in your chest, and you start coughing up like plugs of pus and stuff like that.
Right.
That's 911. That's time for your doctor.
Okay.
Okay. Because see, you'll be so weak that you won't be able to. You're not going to go to any doctor. You're not going to. If you fell down on the floor, you might lay on that floor for several days.
Wow.
Or certainly not leave your bed. So you have to have a caregiver, because you're not going to be taking care of yourself for days. And that caregiver is going to have to see how you are. Make sure you took your aspirin, deliver you water and aspirin, chicken noodle soup, help you up with it, you know, because you're going to be so weak, it's all you can do to swallow it.
Right, right.
You know, so it's what we call symptomatic treatment. But plus these people are hurting so badly, they don't like to be disturbed.
Okay, no. Leave me alone.
Yes,
leave me alone.
me alone.
Leave me alone.
And so they realize that if they can just live till morning, that they'll somewhere along the line they're going to be better.
Okay.
The first morning they better, they know it's over.
They know it's over.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We're gonna talk some more with Dr. Travanicek. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about the whooping cough and obesity. So you stay tuned. We will be right back. Welcome back to the Addie Brent Show. Dr. Travanicek is here, and we are talking about. We just finished talking about the flu. We want to make sure you get the flu shot. If you haven't got the flu shot, make sure you get it because it's so important. And now we're going to talk about whooping cough. Is that
good idea?
Is that an epidemic? Is whooping cough an epidemic?
The short answer is yes. It's gotten to be an epidemic.
Now you know we had whooping cough years ago, and
it's
now
back.
It's back. He says it's back. You all.
It's back.
Okay.
So lots of things happened that made this happen. The original shot that we used was a really, really bad shot. In that it made little teeny kids sick. That was your 2, 4, and 6 month old shots.
Okay.
And at 2 months and 4 months, you know, these kids would get the screaming mimes where they would scream all night long. And they used to call them the screaming mimes. And all mothers know what I'm talking about. And they would get raging fevers with this. But that shot was probably good for years and maybe a lifetime.
Okay.
But what happened was, because it made so many people sort of sick, they re-engineered the shot and they took several vital components out of the shot so that it would not make the baby sick. So the new shot does not make the baby sick, but it also does not give them the kind of immunity that they had with the other shot. It's not as good. Now, in order to get around that, we used to say you'd get your tetanus shot or whatever every 10 years or something like that. This new shot is tetanus, this pertussis, which is, you know, and diphtheria, which is also a bad throat infection.
Right.
We think, but we don't know. We think you might have to get it every 5 years.
The new shot.
Every 5 years.
Okay.
And right now we've had the legislature, thank God, passed a sort of a law regulation that we now are giving this in 7th grade. So repeating this. This is the first time, except for entrance to school, that we've had a requirement. And so we've given it, and the theory is that that would then carry you through to adulthood. Somewhere along the line, you would get another shot. But we're not even certain, to be honest with you, that that's going to be good enough. So I would just say watch that. Make sure if you're in the health department for any other reason and you can't remember when you got your tetanus shot, get your tetanus shot and bring your family and get the tetanus shots, because what's in the tetanus shots, not the tetanus, that's not what's important.
Okay.
It's important, but what's really important is this pertussis with the whooping cough, because that's now in all the shots.
Now I know whooping cough can be uncontrollable coughing.
It is.
It's
not. Can be. It is.
It is. Okay. It is uncontrollable
And for
coughing.
weeks.
You could cough.
Yeah, weeks.
And
little babies, they can't breathe, and it's like, you know, and the mortality rate in little babies is, you know, when we're talking about, you know, under the age of a month or 2 months, mortality rate, not rate of death, is almost 50%.
Oh, really?
And there is very little treatment for those kids.
At that age.
Yeah.
And what about?
And you can't give them a shot.
Can't give them a shot. What about for older people?
What happens with older people is that they get a form of this disease where they don't really understand they have it. They have a kind of a long cough, and they just, well, it's old age or whatever, they cough a little or whatever. And what happens is it's actually pertussis. And then it's actually whooping cough, and the bugs and everything are in their throat, but they just, either because they had shots, because they had whooping cough over and over again, they're not looking like a classic whooping cough. So what happens is, this is how these little babies die, because you know, a granddaughter has a baby.
Okay.
It's a family event, and everybody comes to see the new baby, including Grandma from Texas. Grandma hasn't seen her, and so Grandma comes down from Texas. She's had this little cough. And she comes, she's loving on this baby, she's loving on this baby, and she's loving on this baby. She goes back to Texas, and 4 days later, the baby dies.
Oh, because grandmother kind of spread
Not
it.
Grandma's fault. It's not.
It's not grandma's fault?
No.
Okay.
Because Grandma didn't know.
She didn't know.
She didn't know. And even in health circles, we didn't know that this is a kind of a changing type of illness a little
But
bit.
if grandma is coughing, she should be concerned that she's coughing around a newborn baby, would you think? Or what do you
Well,
say?
I never told grandmas what to do. I practiced medicine for 22 years, and I never told grandma what to do.
Okay,
I told grandma what I thought she ought to do.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes she did it, and sometimes she didn't.
Yeah. So what are the symptoms of whooping cough, pretty much?
Well, it's a paroxysmal cough where you cough and cough, 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 cough. You start coughing, cough, 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 and then you're coughing so hard that you vomit.
Ooh.
See, a lot of these people, about 50% of them are so vomit.
Okay.
And they get paroxysms. When we say paroxysms, it's an uncontrollable cough, and you just cough and cough and cough and cough till you vomit. And that cough might last you a minute, might last you 30 seconds, might last longer. And then what happens is you get better for a little while, and then 10 minutes later you do the same thing.
Same thing all over again.
And you do that for 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because there's no real treatment. Once that bacteria gets in the back of your throat and there's a kind of a set of poisons that it secretes in there, you can't get them out. You have to wear them out.
So are they in
And
the warning?
there's no real treatment. No.
Are there any warning signs for
No.
whooping cough? No, it's just something that comes
Get your shot.
Get your shot.
Get your shot. Get your shot. Go to the health department. Get your shot. You're going to get a tetanus shot. I haven't had my tetanus shot. And then realize that this is sort of a new thing, and you might need your tetanus shot for the whooping cough. Because we say tetanus shot, but really the real deal is the whooping cough. Because of the tetanus, really, if you cut yourself, you go to your doctor, it's a bad wound, you're going to get a tetanus shot anyway.
So now,
But-
is it an epidemic here in Mississippi?
Yes.
Whooping cough?
Yes.
Wow, do y'all hear that? It's an epidemic in
Yeah,
Mississippi?
and it's all over the country. It may not be as bad right here, but the worldwide, nationwide, particularly nationwide, it's a huge epidemic here. We have had some deaths, some infant deaths here, including District 9, including very near here.
Oh, wow. That's
So,
amazing.
and so, yeah, well, it's everywhere. So I just say go get your shot. Don't worry about the numbers if you're not in it. And just know what you have to do. Get you and your friends, everybody goes and get their whooping cough, their tetanus shot or whatever, and they do it every 5 years, and everybody's done all they can. If they would have, we think if you do that, we'll put an end to this epidemic, but nobody really knows that for sure.
Wow. So all these things make you a little bit nervous because you got to worry about the flu, the whooping cough, and all these other things that come along with the viruses.
Sure.
But you just have to be aware of what's going on.
Well, the number one thing
What?
is stay in good physical condition. So if you're overweight, you're not in good physical condition. You got
Right.
diabetes, you're not in good physical condition. You
Right.
smoke, you're not in good physical condition. You drink too much, you're not in good physical. Because you really need to be in good physical condition to fight these things off.
Fight these viruses off.
So you need to exercise, you need to eat right,
Okay.
and that's really kind of important for the rest of your life. You feel better.
Yeah.
You will.
Right.
You will
I've lost
feel
a few
better.
pounds. I feel a lot better.
You will feel a lot better.
Yeah. Another hot topic is obesity, overweight. This is an alarming report. The Mississippi is the most obese state in the country.
That's been going on for 10 years.
How can that be? How can that be?
I guess it's all that barbecue and all that deep fried ice cream and
Fried chicken.
fried chicken.
Yeah, but we need to do something. Something needs to be done because this can create a real health problem.
Well, there are
what
two-
kind of health problem?
Well, mainly it's diabetes and high
Diabetes.
blood pressure, and you're just the fatter you get, the less active you are, and the less active you get, the fatter you are, and the fatter you get, less. And so pretty soon you just become a glob, a giant, huge blob.
Okay.
And so then you're not burning any. Your body is like a little bank. Think about it.
Okay.
Okay, you make deposits, and you make withdrawals.
Okay.
When you're making more deposits, your bank account grows.
Okay.
What you got to do is you got to stop the deposits and start withdrawals.
Okay. That's a good
So,
way to put it.
yeah, it's one way to understand it, and so if you're not exercising, you're not making any withdrawals. And yeah, and there's all different kinds of exercises, but you really need to tone all your muscles, because a toned muscle is the only way to burn. Fat does not burn any calories.
But we still need to think about what we're putting in our body. First, would you say, as well as the exercise?
Well, you got to stop eating.
Yeah,
You got, those are deposits, okay?
Those are deposits,
yeah,
right,
you got to
yeah.
stop the deposits,
Right,
and you got to start the withdrawals.
Right.
And the thing is, what happens is we had a lot of fast food. People can only afford fast food. That's the worst food in the world for you, because it's high calorie, low nutritional value, and high fat and high trans fat. All those things that clog your arteries. And so, you know, you get fat, your arteries are all clogged up. And the problem with that is it's also in the school, to some extent, a little bit in the school lunch program.
The lunch program.
Yeah,
but that's not working. Is it working, you think?
What's that?
The new lunch program.
Fabulous.
Oh, really?
Absolutely fabulous.
But some of the kids are not eating the food. What about that?
That's better. That means they're not making any deposits.
Oh, but they're hungry.
Have you ever seen how many of these kids are overweight?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, please.
I have.
Yeah,
I
please.
have. I
And
have.
so,
I have.
and so I've yet to see one that what I thought was nutritionally deprived. That's wrong. Calorie deprived. They're not calorie deprived. Bad nutrition. So these schools are doing a wonderful job. They're exercising like crazy. We have made significant progress, particularly down along here. The schools along the coast have done pretty well.
And this is all in 1 year? In 1 year's time?
2 or 3.
2, okay.
We've been at it for a lot longer than you've been aware of it.
Oh, okay. I thought it just started last year, but it did not.
No.
Okay.
And so the school faculty, the school administrators,
Okay.
I don't know how much the school board is aware of it, but for sure, if they were aware of it, they would support these programs to get all these sugar drinks out of these schools. The schools are making money on the sugar drinks.
Absolutely.
And so they're because when we cut funding to the schools have to make money some way. So they sell these kids this bad stuff, bad soda pop and stuff like that.
Ice cream
Can't do
stuff.
that.
Right, can't do it.
Yeah.
But PE is important to physical.
Critical.
I mean, that's so important. And I don't know why, but I had PE when I was in school. I don't know why they've taken it out, but I'm thinking hopefully they will put it back into the system.
Yes, it is. You bet. And so they realize that it isn't so much a productive citizen. That's the part of the school.
Okay.
It's a healthy, productive citizen. If your productive citizen is not healthy, he's not going to contribute to society. So it's as important that he's healthy that he is productive. Healthy, productive citizen. And I think they've got that message.
But what we have to understand too, obesity leads to chronic illness.
Yeah.
And it could crush our health system over a period of time.
Right. Plus, if these kids all die when they're 45 years old, which they're going to do if they get diabetes,
Yeah.
or 50 or whatever, going to be on dialysis, who's going to pay into Social Security?
And we have so many young people not dying from heart attacks.
Who's going to pay into Social Security?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See, so not only are you sicker living longer,
Yeah.
they're sicker and living shorter.
Right.
So who's going to pay? I mean, if you're going to take the money out, it's kind of like a bank account. Remember the bank account?
Yes.
You got to make deposits and withdrawals,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining me once again, because you always come with such great information. And I hope we gave you some good tips that might help you live a lot better and a lot longer. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you again next time. Thanks, Dr. Travachek.
My pleasure.
All right.